The harsh fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting a pale glare across the polished linoleum floor of the sprawling department store. It was barely noon, but the place already hummed with life. Cashiers shouting over beeping scanners, shopping, carts rattling along the aisles, and a distant announcement about a lost child in the toy section. Somewhere near aisle 3, the faint aroma of microwave popcorn clashed with the sharp scent of citrusy cleaning spray. Liam adjusted his position slightly in his wheelchair, careful not to bump the neatly stacked cereal boxes he was organizing. His hands worked methodically, precise but gentle. Every box aligned perfectly, every label facing forward. He took pride in the order, in the small moments of control he could assert over a world that so often spun beyond him. It had been 2 years since the accident. A drunk driver, a red light, and then chaos. The details still haunted him at night, but he'd built something out of the wreckage. This job might not have been glamorous, but it gave him structure, independence, and something even more sacred: dignity. That fragile piece shattered with the sharp click of heels. "Excuse me." The voice was shrill, coated with impatience and faux sophistication. "Hello? Are you deaf or just ignoring me?" Liam turned slowly, lifting his gaze to meet the towering woman who had marched into the aisle like she owned the store. Blonde highlights, oversized sunglasses perched atop her head despite the indoor lighting, and an expensive-looking purse that probably cost more than his monthly paycheck. She was the kind of person who radiated entitlement like a perfume cloud. "Can I help you with something, ma'am?" he asked calmly. "Finally," she scoffed, rolling her eyes. "Took you long enough. I need that box." She jabbed a manicured finger toward the top shelf, where a brightly colored brand of organic, gluten-free cereal sat nestled just out of reach. Liam glanced up. "I'm happy to call another associate to assist you with that. I can't—" She didn't let him finish. "Oh, of course," she said, voice dripping with sarcasm. "Because God forbid you actually do something instead of just sitting there collecting a paycheck." A few passers-by slowed down. Liam felt their eyes on him, the weight of unspoken sympathy, or worse, pity. He took a breath. "I'm following store protocol, ma'am. For safety reasons, we don't retrieve items from high shelves without proper equipment or assistance. I can page—" "Don't patronize me," she snapped. "What, you think because you're in a wheelchair you're exempt from customer service?" He felt the words like slaps. Each one chipped away at his calm, but he refused to give her the satisfaction of a reaction. "I'm trying to help you within the guidelines I'm given," he replied, voice steady. She crossed her arms. "No, you're trying to hide behind your disability so you don't have to do anything. I bet they only hired you to check some diversity quota." A tight silence settled over the aisle. Even the usual noise of the store seemed to hush for a beat. A couple stood frozen nearby, their cart half-turned, unsure whether to keep walking or intervene. A teenager holding his phone subtly angled the lens toward the commotion. Liam's hands tightened on the rims of his wheels. Not because he was embarrassed, but because this wasn't the first time. People like her, loud, self-righteous, and cruel, had a way of turning dignity into something disposable. "I'll page someone now," he said, turning slightly to reach his radio. But Karen wasn't done. "You know what?" she hissed. "I want the manager right now, and I want your name. You're going to regret treating me like garbage, sweetheart." Liam pressed the call button on his radio without responding. His face remained neutral, but inside something cracked. Not from her words, but from the silence that followed. No one defended him. No one told her to back off. They watched, phones in hand, mouths shut, when the manager, David, arrived. A thin man in his early 40s with a tie always just slightly askew. He already looked flustered. His eyes darted between Karen and Liam, calculating the threat level. "Hi there, what seems to be the problem?" he asked. Karen pounced. "This employee refused to help me, was completely disrespectful," raised his voice, and then implied I was being aggressive. "I'm a paying customer, and I do not tolerate being disrespected by anyone, especially someone who clearly can't handle their job." David's gaze shifted. To Liam, who remained quiet, wheels locked in place. I didn't raise my voice, Liam said. I followed policy. She asked for help with something out of my reach. I offered to get someone else to assist. David looked uncomfortable. He scratched the back of his neck. Karen, I'm really sorry about your experience. That's not the kind of service we want to provide here. Let me offer you a $10 store credit for the inconvenience. Liam's head turned slowly. You're giving her a credit? Let's talk in the office, David muttered. Karen smirked. The tilt of her chin, the smug arch of her brow. It was the face of someone who'd won, and she was going to savor every second. As she followed David down the aisle, she turned back one last time. You're lucky they even let someone like you work here. The words hit harder than they should have. Not because they were new, but because they weren't. Because Liam had worked twice as hard for half the recognition. Because he had fought his way out of depression, pain, and the loss of a future he thought he'd have. And now here he was, reduced to a spectacle in a cereal aisle. Liam sat in silence for a long moment after they disappeared. The crowd had dispersed. The teenager who'd been recording glanced at him unsure, then walked away without a word. He turned back to the cereal boxes, hands shaking slightly. The perfect row was ruined. One box was crooked. Another was bent at the corner. The order was gone. He didn't fix it, not this time, not yet. The fluorescent lights seemed harsher now, buzzing louder, almost mocking. Liam sat in the cramped break room, staring blankly at the untouched sandwich in front of him. His hands rested motionless on the table, fingers still slightly curled from gripping his wheels. Every word Karen had thrown at him echoed in his mind, louder than the chatter of co-workers or the hum of the vending machine. Across from him, David fidgeted with a cup of cheap coffee. The silence between them was dense, broken only when the manager cleared his throat, trying and failing to soften the blow. Look, Liam, you know we appreciate everything you do here. Liam said nothing. He didn't even blink. David continued. But Karen's a longtime customer. She's got a big online presence, hundreds of reviews. If she starts blasting us all over social media... So you're protecting the store, Liam said quietly. I'm trying to protect everyone's job, David replied, as if that was supposed to sound noble. We're in a fragile place financially. One viral complaint and corporate could start asking questions. Liam gave a dry chuckle. Right, and I'm just a liability with wheels. That's not what I said. You didn't have to. David exhaled, already looking defeated. Why don't you head home for the day? Paid, of course. Take some time. Liam didn't argue. He rolled out of the room, past the other employees who either avoided his gaze or offered hollow smiles. It was easier for everyone if they just pretended nothing had happened. After all, the store kept running. Customers kept shopping. Only Liam had stopped. Outside, the air was warm but carried a bitter sting. Liam wheeled himself toward the bus stop, the rhythmic click of the wheels filling the silence. As he waited, his phone buzzed. A notification. The Real Karen Queen posted the new video. His stomach turned. Against better judgment, he tapped it. The video opened with Karen already mid-rant. So I'm at this store, right? And this employee, who's in a wheelchair, mind you, completely refuses to help me. I asked for one thing. Just one thing. And he gets all snippy with me like I'm the problem. The comment section was split between sympathy and skepticism. You were probably rude first. Wait, this guy's disabled and she's calling him lazy? Post the full video or it didn't happen. But it didn't matter. The damage was done. The clip had over 20,000 views in under an hour, and the hashtags were already trending locally. Liam's chest felt tight. It wasn't just the lies. It was the performance. The way she'd edited the clip, cut out her insults, trimmed his calm responses to make them sound cold. She'd turned him into a villain, a faceless employee who didn't care about customers. The worst part? It was working. That night he couldn't sleep. He lay in bed staring at the ceiling, the glow from his phone washing the room in pale blue. Every few minutes he refreshed the video. More views, more comments. His name hadn't been mentioned, but it was only a matter of time. At 2:17 a.m., a message popped up from an unknown user. Hey, I saw what really happened. I recorded everything. You need to see this. He hesitated. The internet was never short on trolls, but curiosity edged out caution. Prove it. The reply came instantly. Sending clip, watch the volume. She gets loud. Liam downloaded the video and played it. It started shaky, angled from a phone peeking around a corner of the aisle. Karen's voice was unmistakable, piercing and cruel. The footage captured every insult, every twisted expression. It showed Liam calm and professional, never raising his voice, never once stepping out of line. His eyes burned, not from exhaustion, but from something deeper, relief and rage mixing in equal measure. He watched the video again, then one more time. Each viewing peeled back a layer of humiliation and replaced it with something steadier. Not vengeance, not yet, but clarity. He clicked on the profile of the person who had sent the video. A teenager, local, anonymous username, but clearly a student. Likely the one he'd seen recording earlier. No other posts, no agenda, just the truth. He messaged back, "Thank you. You have no idea how much this means. People like her don't deserve to get away with it," the teen replied. "Do something with it." That final message lingered like a challenge. Do something. At that moment, something in Liam shifted. The helplessness drained, leaving a different kind of resolve. He wasn't just some quiet guy stocking shelves. He wasn't a sob story or a token employee. He was someone who'd rebuilt his life once before, and he could do it again. But this time, he wouldn't be doing it quietly. He opened his contacts and scrolled past old friends, past co-workers, past names that hadn't meant much in years, until he found one. Mia Sandoval, his cousin, part-time legal aid, full-time social media wizard, and someone who hated bullies even more than he did. He stared at her name for a second before tapping call. She answered on the second ring, groggy but alert. "Liam? What's wrong?" He didn't hesitate. "I have a video, and I need your help." Mia's voice sharpened immediately. "Send it. I'll be at your place in 20 minutes. As he hung up, a strange calm settled over him. For the first time since the cereal aisle, he wasn't thinking about what had been taken from him. He was thinking about what came next. By the time the sun crawled up over the skyline the next morning, Liam was already dressed, seated at his desk with a focused expression carved deep into his face. The early light filtered through the blinds, casting striped shadows across the screen of his laptop, where the incriminating video sat ready, clipped and cleaned. Mia sat beside him, hair thrown into a loose bun, her fingers a blur as she drafted captions and metadata. Her voice was low but intense, the kind of tone that suggested this wasn't just a favor, it was war. "She messed with the wrong guy," she muttered, "and the internet loves justice, especially poetic justice." Liam glanced sideways at her. "You sure this won't backfire?" She put herself on camera first, edited it to make you look bad. "We're just giving people the director's cut." He allowed himself a slight smirk. "You always did have a flair for drama." Mia didn't smile back. She was laser-focused. "This isn't drama. This is damage control with a side of righteous vengeance." They uploaded the video to a freshly created account, I Wield Truth, with the caption, "She thought no one was watching. She was wrong." Within 30 minutes, it exploded. Comments flooded in faster than they could read. "Wow. What a vile woman. Respect to this guy for staying calm. Can we make sure she never steps into another store again?" Even more satisfying was the shift on Karen's original video. Viewers started linking the unedited version in her comments. Her credibility cracked, then crumbled. The hashtags turned against her. Karen exposed, serialized justice. Disabled, not defenseless, Maya leaned back in her chair and blew out a breath. "Now we wait," but Liam wasn't finished. "I want her to feel it, really feel it. Public shaming doesn't sting enough. She tried to ruin my life. I want her to watch hers unravel in real time." Mia tapped her chin thoughtfully. "She said she has an online presence, reviews, right?" Liam nodded. "Cool. Let's see what a deep dive pulls up." 2 hours and several cups of coffee later, Mia had unearthed a digital gold mine. Karen had a blog, Karen's Kingdom, where she reviewed everything from boutique shops to dog spas. Her reputation online was polished to perfection. Supportive single mother, lifestyle influencer, local advocate. Every post oozed curated perfection. But it was all an illusion. They found dozens of complaints buried in the comments, hidden behind filters, removed from visibility. Stories from servers, clerks, baristas, all describing the same pattern. Entitled, cruel, manipulative. The kind of customer who saw every minor inconvenience as a personal attack, and every confrontation as a chance to cry, victim. Mia grinned as she pulled together screenshots, archived posts, and timestamps. She's been building her throne out of other people's misery. Time to burn it down. The video was reshared by a local news channel by the afternoon. The anchor's tone was stern as the footage played on screen, while the customer in the video claims she was mistreated by a store employee. Newly surfaced, unedited footage tells a very different story. Karen's face, red, twisted with rage, froze on the screen mid-rant. Liam watched the moment in silence, absorbing the full weight of it. Her venom, her power, it was all crumbling in slow motion, under the weight of her own ego. By evening, Karen's Instagram had gone private. Her blog was temporarily under maintenance, but the internet doesn't forget. The screenshots lived on, reshared across Twitter, TikTok, and Reddit. Then came the emails. One from a podcast that wanted to interview Liam, another from a disability advocacy group offering support, and a platform to speak. But the most unexpected came from within the store, David. The subject line was simple. We need to talk. Liam opened it. Inside a single line, corporate saw the video. Please come in tomorrow, I'll explain. He stared at the message for a long moment, then looked over at Mia. They're panicking. Mia arched an eyebrow. Good, let them. But Liam didn't feel satisfaction yet. Not fully. The next day, the store looked different. People paused as he wheeled through the front entrance, not in discomfort but in recognition. Several employees nodded respectfully. A few even whispered thank yous. He saw the teen who had filmed the video stocking the toy aisle, offering a small, sheepish smile. In the manager's office, David looked like he hadn't slept. Corporate's furious, he said without preamble. Not at you, at me, at the situation. Liam folded his arms. You chose her over me and you knew she was lying. David winced. I didn't have all the facts. You had enough. David sighed. You're right, and I'm sorry. Liam waited. After a pause, David continued. They've decided to offer you a promotion. Assistant manager, same salary, better hours, full benefits, and they want you to join the diversity training committee. It sounded generous, calculated, safe. Liam raised an eyebrow. Because they care, or because they're scared of looking like ableist cowards? David hesitated. That's what I thought, Liam said, rising just slightly in his chair. I'll think about it. He turned to leave. Oh, and David. Yes? You might want to consider training your staff to stand up for what's right, not just what's convenient. He rolled out of the office without waiting for a reply. The air outside felt lighter, his spine straighter, his shadow, somehow, taller. As he exited the building, Mia was waiting by the curb, holding her phone up. It's official, she said, grinning. She's the top meme of the day. Liam squinted. Show me. She flipped the screen toward him. It was a still from the video, Karen mid-yell, finger-pointed, eyes wild, captioned, When the cereal's too high and your ego's even higher. Liam laughed, really laughed. It wasn't revenge that filled his chest now. It was justice and freedom, and it tasted sweet. The following week unfolded like a movie, one where Liam was no longer a background character in someone else's drama, but the central figure rewriting the script. Each day brought a new ripple. The video's momentum hadn't just survived, it had grown. What began as a local controversy had gone viral. National bloggers picked it up. Disability advocates shared it with hashtags like AC Stand With Liam, and influencers used the incident to spotlight ableism in the workplace. But the most satisfying twist came when Karen, clinging to the last threads of her unraveling public image, tried to fight back. She released a second video, less fiery, more measured. She was dressed in soft tones, seated in front of a bookshelf, attempting the concerned mom angle. Her voice trembled strategically. "I was overwhelmed. I never meant to offend anyone. I've been under stress. My dog died. My car was towed. I was having a hard day." It might have worked. Once. But the internet had receipts now. Within hours, the video was flooded with comments calling out the crocodile tears, linking back to the full footage, remixing her monologue into parodies that went viral for all the wrong reasons. One TikTok creator lip-synced her apology while dramatically dropping cereal boxes off a shelf. Another used a green screen to insert themselves into the aisle beside her, rolling their eyes and mouthing, "Girl, stop." The sympathy she'd hoped to earn only fueled her downfall. Liam, watching it all unfold from his apartment, didn't feel glee. He felt vindicated. But there was one last piece he hadn't put into play. Something Mia had helped him orchestrate. Quietly, behind the scenes. A town hall was scheduled for that Saturday. Organized by the local business alliance, it was meant to address public backlash against the store. A PR effort, a bandage. What they didn't know was that Liam had been invited to speak. Initially, he wasn't sure he'd accept. But then he thought of every time he'd been dismissed. Every time someone looked over him, underestimated him, pitied him instead of listening to him. This time, they would listen. The event took place in a multi-purpose room at the Civic Center. A modest crowd gathered. Store staff, reporters, concerned citizens, even a few influencers with ring lights and tiny tripods. Karen was there too, sitting near the back in oversized sunglasses, clutching a designer handbag like it was a lifeline. When Liam rolled to the front, the room quieted. No introduction necessary, everyone knew his face by now. He looked out at them all, at the manager who had doubted him, the co-workers who had stayed silent, the customer who had tried to break him, and spoke. "I've always believed that dignity isn't something given. It's something you fight for, especially when others try to strip it away." His voice was calm, steady, but each word landed like a stone. "I wasn't just insulted, I was erased. Because of my wheelchair. Because someone decided my presence made her uncomfortable. And when I stood up for myself, not with aggression, not with violence, but with boundaries, I was treated like the problem." The room held its breath. I didn't go viral because I wanted attention. I went viral because the truth finally had a witness, and because someone else, someone braver than me in that moment, chose to hit record. He turned slightly, toward the back, eyes locking with the teen who had filmed everything. They gave him a small nod, eyes wide with respect. Liam returned the gesture, then continued. "I'm not angry that someone like Karen exists. People like her have always existed. Entitled, cruel, loud. What angers me is how many people stay quiet while they do damage. Silence is complicity. That day my manager chose silence. My co-workers chose silence, but I'm not silent anymore." Applause started slow, then swelled. Not polite, not obligatory. Real. Even David, sitting red-faced near the front, clapped. Karen didn't. She stood up, whispering something to someone beside her, preparing to leave quietly. But a reporter intercepted her at the door. "Miss Karen, do you have a response?" She froze. The cameras turned. The microphones tilted toward her. The room waited. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. It was the most honest thing she'd said all week. She left in silence. Later that night, Liam sat on his balcony as the city buzzed below. The cool air was laced with distant sounds, traffic, laughter, the faint hum of a street performer's saxophone. Mia joined him, 2 cups of tea in hand. "You know you're a legend now, right?" she said, handing him a cup. "I didn't ask for that." "Doesn't matter. You earned it." Liam took a slow sip, letting the warmth settle in his chest. "So, what now?" she asked. He didn't answer right away, just looked out over the lights, the endless horizon. Then, I don't know, but for the first time in a long time I feel like I get to choose. And that more than anything felt like justice. Not the viral video, not the memes or the headlines, but the quiet, the peace, the knowledge that the next time someone tried to push him down, he'd already know how to rise, on his terms, and if they didn't like it, well, they'd just have to deal with it.